Welcome to my podcasts called Discover Your Power, where you will learn how to release limiting beliefs, create abundance, and manifest the life you deserve and that truly works for you. My name is Jania Aebi, transformational healer, author, and coach. There is so much more joy, health, wealth, and success available to you when you get a true perspective on how life really works. I want you to have what you deeply desire, and these podcasts will help you find your truth, unlock your potential, and empower your life. Before I dive into my topic for today, which is free will, free choice, I would first like to share with you what to expect in this series. In one sentence, it's going to be about discovering who we really are and aligning our reality with our highest potential. We only have one life, the one we're living now, and of course, we want to make it the very best we can. But we don't always succeed, at least in some areas. For me, I not only want to make mine the best I can, but I also want to help you gain an understanding of what it takes to have a better life, just in case yours is not yet quite what you desire. There are many aspects to life as lived in this physical expression. There's our health, finances, relationships, work, personal development we want, and, last but not least, spirituality, which permeates all other aspects. So I will be talking to you about all of these in this series and how to get every aspect to a better place than it's in now. Then, when you're there, get it to an even better place, because you deserve it. Everyone deserves it. And I'm sure you already know that as soon as you get what you want, or get to where you want to be, there is a better place that's beckoning you. So over time, we'll be exploring many different areas of life, like our purpose, the global changes we're experiencing, the changes we must make in our ways of being, abundance, which includes but is not limited to money, manifesting our desires, creating health in our bodies, harmony in relationships, how to connect to the divinity from which all goodness flows, how to become the best version of yourself you can be and manifest the life of your dreams, and so much more. I know that these calls will assist you in shifting some universal beliefs that are simply not true, but which have been keeping so many of us stuck in a consciousness of lack, limitation, and powerlessness. When we change our perception of how life really works, our life can become one we truly want and are able to manifest through knowing who we really are. And that is a spiritual being endowed with every attribute and aspect of source energy, only needing to activate those potentials by aligning our actions with new and true beliefs. Can we that easily change our beliefs? And do we really have free will to act as we wish when things seem to be happening without our actually choosing them? And often, they're things that we don't even want to come into our experience. Having free will implies we can choose the thoughts and beliefs we have as well as our actions. But so often, we feel that others impose their will over ours. That's never the case unless we choose to submit to them. We can also choose not to choose, and stuff happens anyway. When we allow others to choose for us, it's because of some fear we have. Fear about our safety or security, fear of losing something, fear of inadequacy, or of not being good enough. So let's examine what it means to have and exercise free will. The consciousness which you are has endowed you at birth with free will and with a spiritual awareness that no other expression of the divine has. Everything is an expression of divinity, and if you really understand this and live as if it were true, it will revolutionize your life. But even taken just at the surface level, while source energy is the starting point of everything that appears, humans are the only ones in this world who have the spiritual awareness and ability to freely choose. We are special. That doesn't mean we're better than anyone or anything else, but we have self-awareness, an awareness of being aware, a consciousness that allows you to experience yourself. Consciousness, the I am or source energy, is expressing itself as you and as me and as everything in existence. And it's that consciousness that is our life. Whatever name we give it, we are all aware of something bigger, more powerful and wiser than us, that makes the universe function perfectly. We call it spirit, divinity, the universe, the quantum field, or God. It's all the same thing. Your mind and body are just expressions in more and more density of the wholeness of that spirit. Mostly, our identification is with the body, but since we have a mind that can be aware of ourselves as consciousness, we need to use that mind to shift our identification towards being a consciousness that's aware of all the objects that we see in the world. And that includes being aware of the body that is just a costume that we, consciousness, are wearing so as to become visible and act in the visible world. Free will is an aspect of our consciousness, just as is joy, kindness, patience, wisdom, confidence, and security, and has been given to everyone, as I've just said, at birth, so that you can make choices in this material world which you've just been catapulted into. As you physically grow from a baby to a child to an adult, you also mentally and emotionally grow through various stages. But first, you must master the physical and material aspects of the world you now live in, develop your muscles, your mind, and learn all about emotions before you are ready to move into the spiritual aspect. As your focus shifts from purely material to also spiritual, things seem to work better, and you begin to trust that Source can indeed take care of things for you. Just as a child knows instinctively that its parents are its source of safety, security, support, and supply, you must learn that your divine parent is your source of everything. As adults, we've strayed from that state of childlike trust and made the physical self the doer. We must now move back into trusting this divine power is the source of all goodness in our lives. Look at how the infinite abundance of the spiritual reality is expressed in nature. One grain of corn will grow a plant with hundreds of grains on it. Every tree has thousands of leaves, every bush countless flowers. Every seed planted, when it comes to maturity, gives us tens or hundreds of seeds. Every beach has a myriad grains of sand. There's an infinite number of stars in the sky. Everywhere you look, there's more than enough. And sadly, the human race is the only expression of Source that seems to negate that abundance. We always seem to be lacking something, having not enough of this or that, not enough money, not a big enough house, not enough health, not enough love or peace or confidence. We're also the only expression of divinity that has been given free will to choose what we think and do. We must therefore consider the possibility that perhaps, just perhaps, we are using our free will in ways that don't serve us, in reverse of how it was meant to be used. All nature, not having free will, falls under the spiritual laws of harmony, cooperation, and abundance. Source has given us free will so we can become creators of our experiences, so we can consciously choose alignment with divinity and its spiritual laws. Infinite goodness, wholeness, and perfection. But when we choose differently, we fall under the material laws of duality and therefore into the possibility of lack and limitation. Free will implies choice. It lets us choose what we want to do, to think, or to believe. Our whole life is just a series of choices we make all the time. We use our mind and our power of discernment to choose an action that will give the best possible result. But sometimes we may not like the outcomes we get. So we realize that using the mind alone is often not enough, because the mind only has partial information that started being recorded at conception. Information about what happened in our lives or what we heard happened to others. All that data is stored in our subconscious mind, and it's certainly very valuable, but not complete. Complete information is within our spirit, which, as you know, is omniscient, so knows everything from all times, all dimensions, and all locations. Accessing that information is not done through the mind. It comes through our intuition when we have mindfully made a conscious connection with Spirit and asked for its guidance. The first, most important thing to realize is that you really are the Spirit that's animating your body and has given you all its qualities in potential for you to use in the various situations you encounter through just living your life. How you respond or react to those situations determines the experience which you will have, which, simply put, will feel either good or bad. So, say someone is being unkind or verbally aggressive, and you think it's unfair, it's unacceptable. You get angry and retaliate. They get more abusive, and pretty soon what started as a verbal confrontation becomes a fight, ending in bruises and pain. You've probably been in those situations when you were a child, and so has the other person. And now it's a pattern you reenact whenever you feel abused in any way. Such situations will tend to recur until you become more conscious. Stop reacting according to an old pattern and choose a higher response if you want to have a different outcome. If you react with the vibration that's familiar to you, if you don't take a moment to reflect on a better way to deal with the problem, you will keep recreating similar situations until you decide to find a different and a better solution. You've been given free will so you can consciously choose your thoughts and responses, which will show the frequency you are currently at. We are constantly surrounded by thousands of frequencies. The positive frequencies of love, peace, and abundance coming from Spirit, and the negative frequencies of frustration, anger, and not enoughness generated by human beings. Just like we're always surrounded with all kinds of radio waves, giving information of all kinds, broadcasting interviews and playing music, but we can't hear them unless we have a radio with a dial that lets us tune into the various stations. If you don't know which station plays the music you like, you try them all one by one, until you find the one that resonates, and then stay on it. That's how you get to listen to what you like and want in the material frequency of radio waves. But when it comes to the more subtle frequencies the universe is made of, we don't need a material structure like a radio. We tune in with our consciousness, and our attention is similar to the dial, which selects the stations we like. We focus on the thoughts that we like and don't pay any attention to the random thoughts passing through our mind that we don't like. We consciously bring forward the ideas that feel good and expansive, even if we have to do it 100 times during the day. When we focus our attention on the frequencies generated by human beings, which are carrying beliefs of lack, limitation, fear, anger, shame, disease, and other similar ones, and let our thoughts dwell on those disturbing and unwanted appearances, it's just like turning our TV to the movie that's upsetting. Do you stay there, or do you change your channel? And to change your channel, you have your free will and your attention, so you can access the frequencies you want to be manifesting in your life. You are aware of both the spiritual and the human aspects of the world where you live, and must use your discernment and choice to align with one or the other through your thoughts, feelings, and actions. While everything in nature expresses source in a more limited way, you and I have been given a higher awareness, that of our spiritual identity, and have the ability to choose which qualities of spirit to express at any given time. As spiritual beings, we are timeless and infinite. As human beings, we are locked into a finite world of time and space that we call duality, where every spiritual aspect of source energy, which is absolute goodness and perfection, is placed on a relative spectrum from good to bad. So here in duality, we have right and left, we have hot and cold, we have patience and impatience, we have betrayal and faithfulness, we have self-worth and unworthiness. Everything is relative to something else and always changes, either for the better or for worse. But we never reach the absoluteness and perfection of Source, which is spiritual, therefore one, invisible, infinite, eternal, and unchanging. While alive, we operate on the relative level, so what is bad can become good, and what's good can become better, but can never reach the absolute and unchanging perfection of Source. Even if we can glimpse that oneness on occasion, we don't stay there permanently, but slide back into duality because of our desire to hold it, to make it permanent, as opposed to fleeting, which idea, in and of itself, denotes we are back in duality. Permanent, impermanent. Do you get it? And there's nothing wrong with that. It was the desire of source energy to experience itself as form, as some aspect of structure, and it goes on infinitely, coming into form as a human being or a blade of grass, and then experiencing the dissolution of the form and returning to the absoluteness and formlessness of spirit to reincarnate again. When in form, we can choose which facet of duality we wish to express. The anger or forgiveness, confidence or lack of it, self-worth or unworthiness, and anything in between. The world then allows us to see the results of our choices. Notice that none of these are wrong in and of themselves. They're just energy expressed, and there's no good or bad energy. Energy just is. The way we use energy is the thing that matters. We use it according to the consciousness we have in any given moment, and what the world reflects back allows us to see whether we have used the energy in accordance with universal will or in opposition to it. In other words, using energy in good or not so good ways. You activate the aspects you most desire, whether it's love, peace, harmony, health, wealth, respect, confidence, or safety, by knowing that spiritually you already have them, since you are part of the one consciousness that is all of them. But to bring them down into visibility in your physical world, you must be coming from the awareness of having them, to express them out to the world. You fill yourself up with them first, direct from source, then give them out to others, so they can be reflected back to you. The world you see is a mirror of your internal landscape. Just as when you stand in front of a mirror, it reflects back your image. When you don't like the way you look, do you try and change something in the mirror? You know that would do no good. You automatically adjust something on yourself. You straighten your collar or brush your hair. And yet, when it comes to how your life is showing up, the first thing you try to change is something in the mirror. The people, things, or situations outside, and over which mostly you have little or no control. Let's now stop doing that. We all know it has never worked. Even if sometimes it seems to work for a while, and we can get people to do what we want, but it's only because in some way it's also serving them. As soon as their priorities change, they no longer submit to our desires or openly rebel. They're no longer our slave. They've taken back their innate power. They realized no one has power over them unless they give it away. Now it's our turn to realize no one has power over us, and we have no power over people or outside circumstances. The only power we have is only over ourselves, our own thoughts, words, beliefs, and actions. And if it's really true what I told you right in the beginning of this talk, that everything is an expression of divinity, and it is, because even science with quantum physics is corroborating the fact that there is a unified field of energy and information that lies at the root of all manifestation, a quantum field of pure potential that we call spirit, life, source, the universe, God, that interpenetrates and connects everything in existence. And so, it's literally true that everything is an expression of divinity, of the one energy and one life. That field, under certain conditions, like for instance duality, becomes denser and takes on all kinds of forms, from the invisible, like spirituality, to thoughts and emotions, then becoming visible material substance like stardust, planets, rocks, vegetation, and human bodies. If everything is an expression of the divine energy, then logically we must include in that everything that we see and judge as bad, unwanted, evil, or this shouldn't be. And that perception of evil is what stops our progress into oneness with the divine. Because if we really and truly believe that God, Spirit, life is all there is, and it is, that it's omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, and so everything is just an expression of that all-encompassing divinity, then there's nothing outside of it. Everything is in it, however we see it appearing. The appearance of what we term wrong or bad is simply our limited perception of the divine energy that just is what it is, absolute wholeness and perfection, neither good nor bad. And anything other than that is our judgment of it, which keeps us in duality, not letting us reach absolute oneness. Duality means a split of the one energy that can now appear as two or more, because on the spectrum between good, bad, or right, left, there is any number of different gradations. As soon as we have two, not one, we have to make a choice. If there is only one, there is no choice. We go with the one, which is absolute goodness. Because divinity, the Creator, is expressing itself spiritually, and that creation is whole, complete and perfect, but also invisible. And divinity has given one of its creations, humanity, the whole of itself, all its aspects, including the power to create, or rather co-create, because we create with God-given energy. Free will is also an aspect of divinity. God doesn't punish us for using our free will counter to how divinity uses it. But since our co-creation is in the visible world, it impacts us with visible consequences. Because we experience consequences we don't like, we learn to use the energy we're given in alignment with divine will, but need to realize that every mistake is also made through using the same divine energy. In essence, everything in this world, however it appears, is an expression of the one divine energy. And while we don't condone the wrong use of energy by anyone and stop it whenever we can, especially in ourselves, simply because the only real control we have is over ourselves, we need to develop deep compassion and understanding for those who express divine energy in destructive ways, while putting them in prison if necessary. That's not easy from a normal ego standpoint and identification. It requires rising into our spiritual identity. One way of doing that is by setting an intention to live our life only in accordance with our highest values. Intention is not confirming an outcome, like I intend to lose those 10 extra pounds. An intention is your determination to make the most loving choices whatever life is presenting to you. So first, we need to determine what our highest values are. Choices are given for that reason. Once we know that and act accordingly, there are no more choices. So which of the divine qualities we attribute to God can we choose as the highest? Love is considered the highest, because if we go deep enough into any of the other qualities, like joy, harmony, gratitude, peace or abundance, at its root we will always find love. And so you could set your intention every morning to live this day thinking, speaking and acting in the most loving ways towards anyone or anything you encounter, no matter what life brings to you. Remember that intention many times a day, and soon your mind will no longer go to the million choices that it now presents to you, taken from the unconsciousness of your conditioning, but will automatically focus on the intention you have declared and gravitate to the choice that aligns with that intention. That's what it means to live an intentional life. I trust that this has been valuable and helpful. Do you want to know more? Check out my website, janiaaebi.com, where you can find much free material. I also encourage you to get my most recent book called Forgiveness, A Path to Create Miracles. It's available in paperback and Kindle from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other similar venues. Don't miss any of these episodes by subscribing to this channel. and I thank you for your willingness to explore more of the abundance that life is always offering to you. I send you my love and will speak to you again soon.